Hey everybody, it's Ron from Pick Dawgz, and this is Ron's Bank Shot Breakdown. We're going to go over 5 college basketball games for Friday, January 19th, 2024. Now, if you like what you see, make sure to give this video a big thumbs up and subscribe to our channel. Don't forget to put your college basketball picks in the comments section below. And if you're looking for my best bets, including my daily Bank Shot best bet in college hoops, you can find this at the premium picks tab of pickdawgz.com. There's also a link in the description. Alrighty, let's get into it. Here are the games for Friday in college hoops. First up, we see St. Louis and VCU. This one's going to be 7 p.m. Eastern. It's going to be on ESPN2. Gotta start by saying this is not my favorite card for college basketball on Friday. I'm going to be treading lightly, and there's no reason to go crazy on Friday when you got Saturday's absolutely loaded card. Over 140 line games for Saturday, so plenty of opportunities there. But in this matchup, I like VCU. I do think it's a tough spot for St. Louis, who has played arguably their best ball as of late. I mean, they beat St. Joseph's outright, and they covered against Dayton in their last game, but that was a road game. So now back-to-back road games against Dayton and VCU, two different styles of teams, two tough teams, two of the better teams in the A10. And, VCU, I was a bit concerned with their defense at times. When we saw those losses to St. Bonaventure and George Washington, giving up 89 and 84 along the way. But as of late, the last two games, they really sharpened up defensively, holding a good George Mason team to 50 points on the road in a win, and then holding LaSalle to 65 points in another victory. Both of those games were true road games. So I think VCU, while their defense is nowhere near as strong as it was with Mike Rhodes last year, it's improving, and you saw two bounce-back performances. The offense is there. They're a good shooting team, especially from two-point range and from the free throw line. They do a good job of getting to the free throw line. St. Louis has some issues taking fouls, so I do think VCU, who scores a good amount of their points, 21% of their points from the charity stripe, it's going to be a good matchup here. I just think St. Louis, it's not the best situation for this team. Off back-to-back coverage, we're not really getting the best of the number with the Billikens, and we're actually getting a really good price with VCU, in my opinion. So give me VCU. I'm going to lay the points. Next up, we see Toledo and Central Michigan. This one's going to be a 7 p.m. Eastern start time. It's going to be on CBS Sports Network. Now, Central Michigan already has a really nice home victory in conference play this year where they beat Kent State by 15 points last Saturday. So, really impressive double-digit win there. But this team's been pretty inconsistent in conference play because they also lost their last game against Ohio by double digits, and that was a struggling Ohio team that previously lost 5 of its last 6 going into that game. And Central Michigan also lost to Buffalo, the worst team in the conference by far. They lost that game at home by double digits, 76-64. So Central Michigan's been a tough team to read this year, but I do think I like Toledo in this spot because they match up well. The defense on paper is not great, ranked 282nd in adjusted defensive efficiency, but it's improving as we continue conference play. We just saw them give up only 66 points in their last game. And shot quality-wise, I think this defense is actually quite underrated. So going forward, I think Toledo's defense will be okay. The offense is still very potent, and that's where Toledo does its most damage. This team scores a ton of points. They're a pretty fast-paced team. They take care of the ball. They're a great three-point shooting team, 35th in the country, and they're scoring a ton of points in conference play, 77, 77, 89, 86 in some of their MAC games this year. If they can get 80-plus points in this game, I think they cover, no doubt. As Central Michigan, just not great fundamentally. They don't get to the free throw line. They turn the ball over too much. They're not a very good rebounding team. That's concerning. I do think Toledo, even though they're a good shooting team to begin with, could be able to get some second-chance opportunities and score some, more points, second-chance points in this game. I just think it's a mismatch here. So give me Toledo here on the road. They're playing really well in conference play, and I got to back them again in this spot. Next up, we see Akron and Kent State. This one's going to be a 7 p.m. Eastern start time as well. This game's going to be on ESPNU. I think this is going to be one of the best games on the board for Friday's card, honestly. As Akron, they're a top 100 team in KenPom. They're 5-0 in conference play, 13-4 overall, but I'd actually like Kent State in this matchup. And we always talked about Kent State, took that upset loss to Central Michigan. They also lost to Eastern Michigan in a game in conference play. They're 2-3 in the MAC so far, but when you look at this team on paper, you look at the shot quality numbers, I'm not ready to give up on Kent State quite yet. I think this is a pretty balanced team. I really like Chris Payton. I think he's one of the best players in the conference. The defense on paper is not great, 212 in adjusted defensive efficiency, but to me, it's just been an unlucky kind of start to the season for Kent State because they're forcing pretty tough shots, but their opponents are making those low percentage shots at high percentage rates. They're ranked 318th, Kent State is, in effective field goal percentage defense. I think those numbers improve as the season goes along. Kent State forces a lot of turnovers, Offensively, like I said, Chris Payton, one of the best scorers, but overall, this team's a good three-point shooting team. They get to the free throw line, and they're 50th in the country in free throw shooting. I think, Kent State's had a pretty tough schedule as of late. They've played 3 of the last 4 games on the road, but they return home here. I think they smell blood in the water. I like their chances in this one to get the outright W, upset win, if you want to say, even though I really don't consider it an upset because I think these teams are pretty evenly matched. So I'm going to go Kent State in this one on the money line at home. Next up, we see Wisconsin and Indiana. This one's going to be 8:30 Eastern. It's going to be on Fox Sports 1. Now, we've done pretty well this season, backing good teams, coming off a bad loss or on a losing streak. We did so with Houston on Wednesday, where they had lost 2 straight games in conference play. They returned home against Texas Tech, a team who was on a 9-game cover streak, and we took Houston, laid the points, and they won that game by, I think, 22 points, covered the number in the end. And I see a similar situation here with Wisconsin. When you take these good teams off a loss, sometimes you can get really good prices. And I think that's the case in this game. Wisconsin lost to arguably the weakest team in the conference in Penn State in their last game. It was on the road, 87-83. Give Penn State credit. They shot 60% from 2, 40% from 3. They made their free throws. It was a really sharp shooting performance and overall performance from the Nittany Lions. But now Wisconsin returns home, and this is still one of the better teams in the conference, and you can make the argument the country, as they were 5-0 in conference play before that game. It's never easy having a 5-0 start to a power conference like the Big Ten, and I think Wisconsin still a really potent offense, even though they're not the most fast-paced team, and they might not score a ton of points per game. They're a very efficient offensive team. They're a good shooting team, fundamentally strong. They're one of the best defensive rebounding teams in college basketball. That doesn't bode well for Indiana, who's not a good rebounding team in general. So the Hoosiers, who are really an offense I don't really trust right now, are not going to be getting a lot of second-chance looks in this game. Probably going to have some issues turning the ball over. And yes, they do a great job of getting to the free throw line, but Wisconsin doesn't take a ton of fouls. Teams are only scoring just under 17% of their points from the free throw line against Wisconsin. So I think Indiana is in an uncomfortable spot here, especially against a fired-up team that, coming off that bad upset loss. We're going to get a great price with Wisconsin, so give me Wisconsin. I'm laying the points. Next up, we see UNLV taking on Colorado State. This one's going to be a 10:30 Eastern start time. It's going to be on Fox Sports 1. Now, I didn't like UNLV's chances in their last game against Boise State, but give the Running Rebels some credit. They won that game outright, 68-64. Really didn't have too many issues in that ball game. But still, I do think that the Rebels are a bit overvalued in this spot because of their 3 straight covers, those 2 nice wins against Boise and New Mexico, and they almost beat one of the best teams in the conference and one of the best records in college hoops in Utah State. Only lost that game by 1 point. So, UNLV's playing great ball, but I do think they're in a tough spot here. Their second straight true road game and only a couple days of rest in a really tough building in Colorado State. We talk about the Pit in New Mexico, other teams in this conference that have great home court advantages like San Diego State, but Colorado State also has a huge home court advantage. And I think that with Colorado State not playing their best ball as of late, they lost 2 to Utah State and Boise State. They needed overtime against Air Force. This is a good get-right spot against the UNLV team that, like I said, is just not in a great situation here. Second straight road game. I don't like the fact that UNLV, not a very good rebounding team. Colorado State should be able to take care of the defensive glass, hold UNLV to 1 shot per trip. The Rebels are a pretty good shooting team. They've improved their numbers as the season gone along, but on the road here against a good defense and a strong, potent offense, I think this is a bad spot for UNLV. So give me Colorado State. I'm going to lay the points. We're getting a really good number with the Rams because of the recent success for UNLV. And that's it. Those are the games for Friday in college basketball. Hope you enjoyed this video. If you did, don't forget to hit that like button and subscribe and put your college basketball picks in the comments section below. If you're looking for my best bets, again, you can find those at Pickdawgz Premium, and there's a link in the description. As always, this is Ron Romanelli. Good luck.